Or are we good?
Good to go. Welcome back to episode 2 of the RotoPros DFS NBA Midday Breakdown. I'm Chris Terrell here with our resident NBA analyst, Josh Kronfeld. How's it going today?
It's going great, Chris. You know, we're alive. It's Friday. The weather's great for me. How are you doing?
Yeah, the weather up here in Canada actually is amazing right now. We're in the pluses. Snow's melting.
We're in the pluses
again, of course. I washed the truck yesterday, so of course it's a muddy mess around here right now. But other than that, yeah, everything's going good. Ready to rock and roll some NBA for Friday night.
Good. That's what I like to hear.
Plan with this show is kind of go over some of the relevant injury situations for tonight and how those will affect our lineup decisions. So that's kind of the basis of the show if you're new. And then after the show, be sure to jump into the RotoPros community chat where we will update you on news as we approach lineup lock and anything that's really relevant to constructing your lineups. NBA is one of the most crucial sports to paying attention right up until lock because things can break very quickly, and players will come in and get awesome value if a certain player sits. So definitely do that. And if you're not a member yet, be sure to get over to rotopros.com, get your free 2-week trial, which gives you access to the community chat, cheat sheets, articles, videos, and our industry compliance skeleton lineups, one-on-one coaching, and much, much more. With that, let's jump right in. So tonight we've got a 9-game slate, and right off the bat, some of the injuries to look at. Looking a little bit at the New York Knicks. Burks ruled out, Tryer's ruled out, Dotson's questionable. I think he may even been ruled out as we got the show started here. Is there any interest for you? One guy that kind of stood out to me with all that news. I know the Knicks are a little hard to, justify or look at their minutes because things switch up all the time. But is Moody someone you think he's getting around that 30 minutes, 6 to 7 times upside, I believe. So do you have any interest in him?
Yeah, I mean, normally I wouldn't, and I think his price is pretty perfect, if not a little too high on DraftKings. The minutes will definitely be there, and you mentioned with Fizdale and the Knicks, the minutes have been a little hard to predict so far this season. But due to some injuries and kind of the fact that I think the Knicks brass are kind of just accepting and embracing the tank, development seems to be the focus now, which it should be. So in terms of Knicks, Kevin Knox is who I'm most interested in. He was our first-round draft pick. I say our because I will always be a Knicks fan, unfortunately for me. But he should see around 35 minutes tonight at least. He's coming off 2 of his better games of the season. He seems to play a little bit better at home. Everyone, he embraces the Garden vibes majorly. But I like Kevin Knox for 4,800 tonight. I think he's a good cash play, and he's probably – you could make the argument he's more of a GPP play on DraftKings, but I think he's both tonight.
Yeah, under 5K there, that mid 4K range.
Yeah, I have interest in Tim Hardaway, but that's not much. That's not really value. That's just I think he's a good play tonight.
Yeah, for sure. And then the Atlanta Hawks. So we got Prince out at least 3 weeks. We got Lynn, who's questionable after missing the last 2 games. With Spellman and Plumlee out, does that just boost John Collins up your list of GPP targets at the center position in a very tough matchup? Boston's #1 against centers, obviously, but with his added minutes usage there, do you think that makes sense going with him?
It's a tough call because, honestly, figuring out how to properly attack games involving Atlanta has been one of the most important aspects to doing well on a DraftKings or both NBA slates lately. So no doubt it's going to play a big part tonight as well. John Collins is a stud. He was a huge steal in the draft. This is his sophomore year. He's having a great campaign. He was coming off injury or surgery or something, so he hasn't played all season, but he's been back for a while now, and he's really putting up some monster numbers. But unfortunately, his price kind of reflects that. He's 7,200 into, like you just said, the #1 defensive matchup for centers in Boston. I think he's a fade tonight, but, if you're going to play him in GPP, and, he could be the difference. Maybe, the Hawks have been playing some good ball lately, and he's seemingly been the driving force. I can see if I'm their GM, I like Collins and Trae Young. It's a nice little nucleus they have there. So I do like him as a player. I like him a lot of nights, but tonight I consider him just a GPP play. It's too tough to put him in cash.
Yeah, kind of me as a rookie, that's the way I was kind of looking at it as well with the tough matchup. And then on the other side of things, you got Boston. They've got some injuries going as well. They got Horford out and Jaylen Brown was questionable, which is kind of a big one that we're going to be watching going into lock tonight.
One thing I just want to point out, just because you just said you're a rookie, you just for our audience, Chris is a really talented, like experienced DFS player now in general. He's a little bit new to
I'm
NBA.
blushing.
Right, he's a little bit well, he's a little bit new to NBA. So one of the things we thought would be good for and most educational for our audience would be to kind of combine someone like myself who's been doing it a little bit longer and who genuinely focuses and enjoys NBA. But maybe I'll be the first to admit my analytical DFS straight statistical side of things is consciously not a big part, or not a big part, but not always the most important thing to me when I analyze and construct my rosters. So I think it's very important as a DFS player to have a very, very good combination of both of those skills. So Chris and myself are constantly feeding off of each other to give you the best possible analysis. But anyway,
yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
you're definitely got the NBA knowledge, and I'll just throw in the cheat sheets. I can put a cheat sheet together with any sport and learn it definitely. So definitely appreciate that. So yeah, back to Boston with Jaylen Brown possibly questionable. Possibly questionable. He's questionable. Horford out. Do you see Kyrie Irving's got a really nice price in that 9K range at the point guard position? The only problem with the excellent matchup as Atlanta is 29th in fantasy points against point guards. The problem with this here is that they're 12.5-point favorites. You know, it's a game that maybe turns into a blowout. Yeah, so it was just kind of going to ask you, you know, if he's someone that maybe you would look to a cash game just because it's, you know, if they're going to blow them out, Kyrie's going to be definitely involved in that. He's averaging 32 minutes on the season, and his usage rate is right around that 30 mark. So myself, I would definitely consider him just because he's a little bit cheaper. I know that you mentioned Steph Curry tonight. He's a little bit more expensive, so I definitely like going that little bit cheaper route with Kyrie Irving there. And then just looking at some of the other Boston guys here, if Brown's out, I think we can maybe go back to Marcus Smart. He is 5,300 on FanDuel, 4,700 on DraftKings. Usage rate is down a little bit. He again, guards against Atlanta. They got a really good matchup there, but Smart really stands out.
Yeah, totally.
He covers that point guard and shooting guard position, and he's had 39 minutes last game. I believe Brown was out for that game. 34.75 FanDuel points. He did drop. He was 5 for 12 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3-point range. Hit all 7 of his free throws, so he did end up with 18 points, which is, his highest output in quite a while. But if Brown's out, I think definitely going back to Smart makes some sense there as well tonight.
Regardless.
And then moving on into the Cleveland game, we've got the Cavaliers got some injuries as well that we want to point out. Love is out till mid-January. Tristan Thompson's out 2 to 4 weeks. I think we can maybe get back onto Larry Nance again. He only had 3 points. I just want to bring up his game log here real quick. But I think we can get back on him. I can't seem to pull it up. Had 33 minutes. Filled up those secondary stats big time with 11 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 blocks, 3 steals. So it kind of covers you across all those angles when looking at DFS points and stuff there. And 3 straight 30-plus point games. Now, I'm interested to see what Josh thinks about Nance. But, his price, just going to go look at his price here real quick.
Yeah, I said thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to
Can hear Josh on the phone in the background. Just looking up Nance here. Yeah. So I think we can definitely go back to him, at least for GPPs tonight on the Cleveland side of things. And then looking at some other injuries here. We've got the Washington Wizards. Otto Porter is questionable. Dwight Howard's obviously out too.
Man, I apologize. Sorry.
Definitely.
Whew, my bad, guys. Am I here or am I frozen?
Yeah, so Larry Nance, I want your take on Larry Nance. He wasn't really filling up the buckets, but I was just saying how he was just throttling when it comes to all the other stats, rebounds, steals, blocks, and kind of had a smash game last time. Is he someone that you'd be looking at against Milwaukee? Cleveland at home tonight?
Am I frozen or am I good?
I can hear you, but you're frozen, so that's fine.
Okay.
Actually, I see you in your background now, so I think you're there.
Yeah, you don't need to see my ugly.
You're frozen, but
all right. Yeah, well, Larry Nance is definitely someone that I personally kind of overlooked a little bit. Yeah, last slate in cash, I kind of took him for granted. It was very obvious. I don't know what I was doing. His price is getting up there at 6,200, but he's always been someone who kind of fills it up with the peripheral stats. And that's very important on DraftKings, steals and blocks being 2 points apiece. So yeah, I do have interest in Nance tonight. They're just decimated with injuries. He's a little getting up there in price, so I don't know how much longer I'll have interest in him. But they don't have enough bodies for him to not see at least 35 minutes tonight. So that should translate into value. And the points should be there too, because they don't have enough people to score.
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't think that he's gonna, be down there in that three points range when he's put in double-digit points in 4 straight before that. So if he keeps up those those secondary stats, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals, stuff like that, and then he puts in 10 points as well, I mean, he's got 6-7 times upside. So I definitely agree with you there. And then I was just jumping into the Washington side with Otto Porter questionable. I was just saying how this is a smash spot for centers against Brooklyn. Your thoughts? One guy that kind of popped out to me maybe as a punt tonight, he hasn't been getting a lot of minutes, but Thomas Bryant. He's, I probably wouldn't trust him for cash, but he has hit 5 times value in 3 of his last 4 games on only like 18 to 20 minutes. If somehow they give him like 25 minutes, I think he would be a lock at that price. Do you agree with anything like that?
Yeah, I mean,
or am I crazy?
Yeah, well, look, if he gets 25 minutes, sure. I mean, everything adds up. Sometimes DFS is like, I forgot what that math class was called where you had to do proofs, and you had to like do
horrible. It was called horrible.
Yeah, well, that of course, but if this then that, if this then that. That's kind of what DFS is like sometimes. And if the Nets are play a center against them is kind of what I'm getting at here. So when you got Thomas Bryant at 3,400, I don't think Otto Porter's injury affects him very much. Not that you were saying that, but just so our audience knows. But Thomas Bryant's been getting the start, and he's a young guy. He's not like a first-round pick or anything. But I actually do know a little bit about him. He went to Indiana, where I went to college, so he was a big-time recruit for us, and we were very excited. But he was one of those guys that clearly could have benefited from another year or 2 in school. So he's a little raw. I mean, he's not a rookie, so he's been in the NBA a little bit too, but he's still not great. He's never really got – this is the most – right now is the most minutes he's ever really gotten. So, I guess this is the best stats we're getting now are kind of the most telling. Stephen Mailer, you suck, by the way. I hope you're listening. Anyway, but that being said, 3,400 DraftKings, I don't mind him. I wouldn't expect, 7, 8X or anything crazy, but given the matchup, I would expect him to hit value.
For sure. And then on the other side of things, Brooklyn's also got a nice matchup when it comes to centers as well. Crabbe's questionable. That's one of the injuries I wanted to hit on, but it's also a nice spot for centers, like I said, with 24th in fantasy points against the position. One guy that I was looking at closely tonight was Jared Allen. He's had 3 straight 30-plus point performances before last game, against the 76ers. He kind of had a rough out in there, but at 5,600 on DraftKings, do you think he's someone that can maybe get back in that 30-point range, which is kind of going to put him close to that 6X on DK?
Sorry, you blanked out on the name. Who are we talking about?
Jarrett Allen at center. Because they don't really have anyone they're running out there.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, but that's kind of been the case for a while now. I don't mind Allen. He actually he's green on my projection, so that's always a good thing to make it simple. He's going up against Thomas Bryant, who, as we just discussed, is very raw and not known for his defensive prowess. So I don't mind it. The Nets have been scoring a ton of points, and if you've been getting there, Jared Allen's one of the few people who actually is pretty consistent with Kenny Atkins minutes. So yeah, I think that's an interesting take. I like Jared Allen for GPP tonight.
Awesome. Is there anyone else on Brooklyn that you're really looking at? I didn't really have much off my list.
No, not on Brooklyn, but I would be interested in Jeff Green if what's his face is out. You know who I'm talking about, Otto. And, and I would be interested potentially in Oubre as well, given the fact that given the fact that Green's price is up, but Oubre's is up even higher. So I guess Jeff Green will be a pretty cashy play tonight if Otto Porter's out. That'd be my guess. How do the Nets rank against small forwards?
Nets against small forward. Let's check that out here.
Is,
We've got, they're second on the season and ninth over the last week.
okay.
So,
So maybe
it's a tough
not.
matchup.
Yeah, it's a tough matchup. He was chalk the other night. I mean, he was less owned than I thought he would be. We're talking about Jeff Green. But when Otto Porter was out the other night and the Wizards are going to win a game, they're going to kind of depend on big three scorers. Wall's usually going to get his. Beal's probably going to get his. And, the third scorer sometimes was Gortat in the past, or it was supposed to be Dwight Howard this year. And definitely Otto Porter, too. So when Otto Porter's out, look for a combination of whichever Morris twin they have. I always forget which one it is.
Is it Markieff?
Yeah, I don't even know. Whichever Morris twin they have, and then Jeff Green. But like we just said, it's a tough matchup, so you could look elsewhere for value.
That makes a lot of sense. And then one of the big ones, injuries that we're watching tonight, kind of right near the top of the list, is Jimmy Butler's questionable. If he's out again, even in a tough matchup against Indiana, I believe Indiana is, they're one of the top teams in the league when it comes to defensive efficiency, right near top 10 against almost every position. Center would be their weakest fantasy points against. Are you going to be all in on Embiid again? Or Embiid? Sorry, I pronounced that wrong.
No, I love that. I'm definitely not all in on him, too. Actually, you know what? I take that back. Sorry. If Butler's out, then, I probably will be pretty overweight on Embiid. Although I don't really understand.
His usage goes through the roof.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't really understand why the Pacers are last against centers. I was under the impression Miles Turner was a good defensive player. And Sabonis, I guess he's probably better offensively, so that makes sense. But, I definitely wouldn't have dead last.
Yeah, for sure. No, they're third. They're third best against centers.
Yeah, still. I mean, that's not good either. You know what I mean? To target against, at least.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. Sorry, we were on the reverse thinking there. And then Ben Simmons. I think his usage doesn't go up as much as Embiid when Butler's out, but I mean he's still kind of back there. He's getting the 30 to 40 minutes, which is just crazy, and he's had 47 plus points in 3 straight.
I will say this though, I'm taking the Pacer rankings with a grain of salt because Oladipo's been out all year for the most part. He is their heart and soul. I went to college with the guy. He's a stud. But the reason he's such a cool leader is because he's very quiet. Come on, I'm not acting like I know the guy still, but from what it seems like, on Instagram and TV and all that, he's a quiet guy. He's a family guy. He loves his mom and his sisters, and he's just gonna go lead with his play. And I love those types of players. So having him back is gonna make the Pacers a completely different team. I think they're one of the top 3 probably in the East. It's debatable now. But we'll see. I mean, I expect them to definitely be in the playoffs and making some sort of noise, at least for the Eastern Conference, when the year's over. So they got some ground to make up. And from what I understand, Oladipo is pretty healthy now, and he's been getting eased back in somewhat with the minutes. But this is his second or third game back off injury, so he should be pretty close to a full allotment.
Cool. That makes a lot of sense. And then moving on, looking at the Miami-Memphis game, it is one of the lowest scoring. It is the only game tonight with a total under 200. The big news here is that Whiteside is, he's had a child, I believe. He's projected to return after 2 or 3 games that he's missed. But it's a top 10 defense across the board, pretty much, especially against centers. I guess my question for you is, are you at all interested in him? Probably GPP would be my question. And the second question is, does he take away some of the usage and intrigue on Bam, especially with Bam's price that has gone up? It's kind of at its peak right now, and then now Whiteside's coming back. So that, to me, that kind of says stay away from Bam. Maybe GPP only, but pretty much for the most part, I'd stay away in this matchup. Your thoughts?
You couldn't pay me to take Bam tonight.
Perfect. I'm not out to lunch.
He's priced to be a starter, and he's not. Or even if he is, for some strange reason, he's not going to get the minutes that a starter usually gets with Whiteside being back, because who is the starter? They're both very talented players, but Whiteside is the starter. So when he's there and he's healthy and he's not having children, then he gets 35 minutes a night. And Bam gets 22, 23. So when you get 23 minutes a night, I don't care who you are, you're not going to be worth a $6K price.
And then the other, I guess my third question is, Dragic is out. Are you kind of looking at upgrade to Josh Richardson?
Absolutely.
at the card.
If you were going to ask about someone else, I was going to say no, but I am interested in Josh Richardson. So I'm glad you said him. He kind of takes over the point guard duties when Goran's out. His price has been in the mid 7K range this year. So, part of it's the matchup, but I love him at 5,600 with Goran out. You could make the argument it honestly helps him to have Hassan back because that, he needs to pass the ball to people. If they have a post game, the over-under is like 196. So it's not going to be a million points scored in this game. So Richardson's not going to go for 30 or something. So you're going to need him to rack up assists and boards and steals and stuff to really maximize his value. So I do like Josh Richardson tonight, given his price.
And that's, given his price, 5,600 on DraftKings. Like you said, at one point here at the end of November, he was up in the 7,700 range on DraftKings when he was dropping 30 to 4. He has a ceiling of 46 this season. Two or three games with 40, lots in the 30s, and at 5,600, I mean, you're looking at 6 to 7 times upside, even in one of the lower scoring games of the night. So definitely like that. Would you consider him in cash games at that price, or kind of just GPPs?
I would consider it
scoring game.
I would consider if the lineup construction ends up with you having 6K left for one spot. Yeah, he's not the worst play, no. But I mean, the matchup's tough though, so it's not my first choice either.
Right on, and then kind of moving into the OKC Denver game. We got a little bit high scoring here. We got 218.5 total. Very tight spread, -2. OKC is favored in this. Pretty good matchups. I mean, besides down low and at the point guard position, but looking at the small forwards, shooting guards, power forwards, we got some nice matchups going on there. Millsap, Harris, Barton are all out Friday for the Nuggets. Jamal Murray is probable to return. Who are you targeting, if anyone, for value with that many guys kind of out of the lineup for Denver?
Well, I love Jokic tonight. He's probably my favorite expensive play. He's 9,400. I don't usually like to target centers against OKC because Steven Adams is a pretty tough matchup. But, I mean, there's so many people out for Denver that I'm not going to make the mistake again of just fading Jokic. Hopefully Murray plays because, again, otherwise, if he doesn't, it's like OKC literally can just focus on one guy almost. But I like a bunch of plays in this game. I like Jokic. Russell Westbrook will probably be a pretty popular cash play tonight, although I'm not in love with him. His price is kind of...
Any Wancho?
Sorry? Any Wancho?
Any Wancho?
Yeah, a little bit of Wancho, but for the value...
Get the minutes.
Yeah, no, he's been good, totally. For my gut was saying Monty Morris. I like him a lot. He kind of runs the show with the second unit, and when they have people out, he takes a little bit more of the scoring burden on himself too, which I like a lot. And then I think Mason Plumlee will be one of the most popular value plays of the night for cash and for GPP. He's going to get the start, I believe. Obviously, I guess stay tuned. There's a chance Trey Lyles, Mike Malone does a little tweak and puts Lyles in for some reason because he likes that matchup better. But actually, the more I think about it, I would, all projections right now have Plumlee as the starter and the value guy of the day. But I would not be surprised if Malone didn't switch that to Trey Lyles at the last minute, given the fact that Lyles matches up a little bit better with Jeremy Grant than I would see. Plumlee's kind of like a center, and the reason he was in the lineup is because they were playing Memphis last game. It was a very big team, so I wouldn't be surprised if you can kind of ignore. This is why I don't like to build lineups very, very early in the day because you're kind of going off of guesses, so to speak, in terms of
then you're going to change
not
it
with
all.
everything, but with some sort of starting lineups. And again, this could be completely wrong, but right now a lot of projections love Mason Plumlee because he should, he started last game, and people are probably assuming he's going to start this game as well for Millsap. But my gut says that it's going to be Trey Lyles. So if that is the case, then I think Trey Lyles will be one of the most popular plays of the night for cash and for GPP, given his price. And honestly, if Plumlee's not a starter, I'm fading him entirely. So there you go. There's my hot take of the night.
Awesome.
But Monty Morris,
Anything?
good. I like him. And Jokic.
No, awesome. No, I like the Monte Morris there. It looks like he's been contributing, on the assists, rebounds, as well as with the scoring, like you said there. So it looks like he's going to be able to hit value tonight as well, and kind of this possibly one of the higher scoring games of the night, it looks like. So, and then moving on to the next game, you got the Toronto Raptors at Portland. This is a 216 over under, so not the highest of the night. It's probably in that 5th, 6th range. Actually, it's the second lowest, but they're all kind of bunched together after that low Miami-Memphis game. -4, Toronto is favored in this one. Kawhi Leonard is questionable again, and midday again. I've seen that Kyle Lowry is also questionable, so it looks like we can get some value from the Raptors tonight. Out of, say, like Van Fleet, Wright, and even Monroe, are you interested in any of those three for like a value play tonight?
What's Monroe's? I'm trying to pull up Monroe's price. I mean, look, Monroe's. If you have this GPP lineup that you love and like 3,600 is all you have left, you end up on Monroe. Okay, take the chance. He's going to absorb Valanciunas' role a little bit. I doubt it'll be identical, but he will get a lot of those minutes. I'm sure a lot of those minutes will also go to Siakam and Ibaka. So it's not just going to transfer over to Monroe, but he's not a bad play tonight. I'm personally going to be off this game a little bit. I don't know about off, but we'll see if Kawhi plays. I would imagine he will because he sat out the last couple, so he's not like badly injured. I think they've just been trying to like maintain him, which is smart. This is a tough game. Both teams are playing pretty well. Toronto's been beating Golden State without Kawhi, so they're playing some good ball right now.
That was good. That was a good game.
Definitely, they're probably the best. They're probably the best team in the NBA right now. It's hard to argue that they're not. I don't know. I don't have all the records in front of me, but I mean that's a big statement win, and they've been winning a lot of games. Obviously, they're going to win the East. That's pretty. I don't know. We'll see. I guess Philadelphia is going to be a tough matchup too in the playoffs, but I digress.
On the Portland side, you listed Yusuf Nurkic. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. His price is down. That's one thing that stood out to me is he's below 7K on DraftKings now after kind of sitting in that 7K range, mid 7K to low 7K range for like the last 4 or 5 games.
Yeah.
So he's kind of trending down. Buy low.
Yeah, totally. I mean, Nurkic is all over my radar today for projections. So even in 28 minutes, he projects out to double-double. So.
And then the last game of the night, Golden State at Sacramento. We've got a total here. This is the highest one of the night at 235. Looks like we've got 7.5-point favorites for Golden State. Really good matchup for them across the board. Is there anyone, I guess the Sacramento guys, will go there first, the home team. Is there anyone that you're looking at there, like maybe Fox or Willie Cauley-Stein, Buddy Hield maybe?
Well, this is tough because if you look at the last couple game logs when these two teams have met, there's been a lot of injuries on Golden State side of things, and I believe they're relatively healthy tonight. Draymond's back, Steph, Clay, everyone should be there. So it's a high over-under. I think it's in Sacramento too, right? Sacramento's a fun team this year, man. They're
Awesome. Yeah, I think Curry just read that 10-2 range. I think he makes a lot of sense as well. You would rotate him as a value play. I'd seen he's got huge upside. Huge upside. 60 to 70 point. Awesome. We had a question in chat here. Do you have any love for Conley, who's going to be back in the lineup for Memphis? No, he's asking, is there any Conley love out there? Yeah, the 8K range kind of starting to seem crazy, and like you said, tougher matchup. He's going to be super low. That's about maybe what he's got going for him in this matchup. But other than that, okay. And that pretty much covers anyone else we maybe didn't touch on that you're thinking. If one guy I wanted to ask you about in the Philly game there. If Butler's out, are you interested in? Let's see if I can say this right. Furkan Korkmaz. Last question I got here in the chat is it a big game Dame night? Your thoughts on that? Baby swag. Yeah. Toronto, let me just pull that up here. They are third best and the best over the last week, which is probably 3 to 4 game stretch. Yeah. You need the most points to win, right? Yeah, there's definitely, with any sport, it doesn't mean you have to, in GPPs, necessarily avoid all the chalk plays. But if you fit 2 or 3 chalk plays in your lineups, you got 5, 6 other, positions that you can go ahead and find and separate yourself. You can leave money on the table when it comes to your, leave $500 to $600 on the table. You're almost guaranteed to be, not a duplicate lineup. So there's definitely other ways than of just avoiding the chalk at all times. Myself, this kind of goes with any sport. Looking at the chalky guys at the top, I don't mind going with those guys. But when I'm starting to, fade the chalk and go with other pivots, I'm looking at fading chalk when it's the lower priced guys because they're lower priced for a reason. They're not as consistent. So I think you can really find a lot of value in pivoting off some of those guys rather than pivoting off your superstars. Yep. Cool. Well, that covers all the games. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Well, that covers all the games. I'll let you finish. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Cool. Well, that covers all the games for tonight. Like I said, if you're not a RotoPros member and you want to get in, get some one-on-one coaching, you want to, see some of our other cheat sheets, stuff like that, definitely head over there. You can grab a copy of the cheat sheet that I'm kind of looking at all my stats off of in the member chat, as well as in the daily content in our community chat. Or I've also got all my cheat sheets tagged to my Twitter account at Jaeger_bombs. And all of our content is shared daily at RotoPros over there on Twitter as well. So with that, thanks for joining me, Josh. Thanks for providing all your NBA knowledge. Let's go make some lineups and get some people some green screens before Christmas. Cheers, everyone. Good luck. It's still showing